So, when you picture a big tech company expanding, what comes to mind? Probably some massive gleaming glass campus, right? Something that takes years and honestly billions of dollars to build. But what if there's a totally different way to do it? A way that's faster, smarter, and way more agile. We're going to dive into a fascinating new model that shrinks that whole process down and honestly might just change the game for how businesses grow. Okay, so the story here really kicks off with a classic good problem to have. You've got these major tech hubs like Bengaluru, India's Silicon Valley, and they are absolutely booming. But that success, it created some massive pressure. We're talking skyrocketing costs, insane competition for talent, and just logistical nightmares. It's forcing companies to ask a really critical question. Where do we possibly go from here? And believe it or not, the answer might look a little something like this. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shipping containers? Really? But just hold that thought, because this isn't just some quirky design choice. It's a pretty radical solution to a very, very real problem. To really wrap our heads around this, we first have to understand the push factor. The incredible success of these top-tier cities has actually created a huge incentive for both the government and for businesses to look for what they're calling a beyond Bengaluru solution. So what are we really talking about here? Well, it breaks down into a few key things. You've got absolutely sky-high operating costs. There's a constant war for talent that drives up salaries and makes it hard to keep people. And all of this is forcing a strategic shift towards these up-and-coming Tier 2 cities, places like Hubballi, which offer a fresh start away from all that congestion. And that's where the hero of our story comes in. This is the Sismatik project in Hubballi. It's a company with a vision to create a brand new kind of tech hub, one that's essentially delivered in a box. Okay, quick sidebar, because this term is super important. GCC. It stands for Global Capability Center. The easiest way to think of it is as a company's own dedicated unit in another country, handling some of their key business operations. Sismatik is going after those mid-sized global companies that need these exact kinds of centers. And let's be super clear here. This is not just a stuffy metal box. The inside is a vibrant, modern workspace. The whole idea, the whole model, is designed to give you world-class infrastructure while cutting your operating costs by a massive 30%. So, how in the world do they do it? Well, the secret sauce is in the construction itself. They are pioneering this really cool hybrid model that blends the best of traditional building with modular construction, and that gives them a huge advantage. Just look at this. The difference is it's just night and day. A traditional building project can easily take over 18 months. This hybrid model, they can do it in as little as 3. It totally transforms a huge, rigid capital expense into a system that's agile, lower cost, and completely modular. It's a game changer. So here's how it actually works. You start with a permanent reinforced concrete core. That's your central structure, right? It holds the elevators, the stairs, the data centers, all the heavy-duty stuff. Then you literally plug in the office spaces using these prefabricated container wings. It's strong, it's stable, and it is unbelievably fast. And this hybrid approach has some other huge advantages. You get the structural integrity you need for a multi-story building, which, by the way, makes getting approvals from local authorities way easier. It lets you mix and match large open spaces with smaller plug-and-play office pods. And on top of all that, it's built for sustainability, with solar arrays integrated right into the design. Okay, so it's a brilliant idea, but is it a brilliant business? Let's follow the money for a second and look at the financial blueprint that makes this whole thing actually work. So when all is said and done, the net investment for this 48,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility comes down to about 12.35 crore rupees. That's roughly 1.5 million US dollars. For this scale of infrastructure, that number is incredibly competitive. So how on earth do they get that number so low? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is government support. There's a 25% capital subsidy for projects just like this in these Tier 2 cities. It's a direct incentive from the government to encourage that beyond Bengaluru kind of growth. And here's the kicker for any investor. Because the initial cost is so much lower and they can get it up and running so fast, the projected payback period is just 6 to 7 years. For a commercial real estate project, that is an incredibly attractive return on investment.
What's also really smart is their business model. They're not just putting all their eggs in one basket, They're not just about rent. They have multiple revenue streams. Managed leases for the office spaces, sales of their own IoT products, cloud hosting from their data center, and even fees from an on-site training school.
So you see, this project isn't just about one building. It's a seed. It's a blueprint for building an entire tech ecosystem, piece by piece. So let's zoom out for a second and look at that big picture impact. And they have a really clear, phased plan to make this happen. They start with the core office space to get an anchor tenant in the door. Then they build out their own R&D lab. And finally, they add an edge data center and a finishing school, which is a specialized program to get local graduates totally job-ready. It creates this awesome, self-sustaining cycle of innovation. You can see here how incredibly strategic their positioning is. They're not trying to go head-to-head with giants like Infosys for Fortune 500 clients, and they're much more specialized than your general-purpose local business center. They've carved out this perfect, unique niche, serving those mid-sized global companies that need speed, agility, and specialized tech services. And ultimately, all of this, it comes back to people. Because here's why this matters. You can't build a tech hub if you can't attract top talent. It's that simple. And to do that, you have to offer more than just a desk. You've got to create a modern, vibrant, and genuinely desirable place to work, which is exactly what this whole design is trying to do. So if you're going to take away one thing, it's this. It all boils down to speed and agility. This model gives companies an option to be up and running in a new city in a tiny fraction of the time it would normally take. That fundamentally changes the entire risk calculation for expansion. Which leaves us with this one kind of huge question to think about. As our big cities get more and more crowded and costs keep climbing, could this modular, agile tech hub in a box model be the blueprint for the next generation of Silicon Valleys all around the world? Definitely something to think about.